The first thing that'll most likely happen is you will either order chicks from a hatchery and you'll go down to the post office when they arrive, or you'll go down to your local feed store, be it a Home and Garden, does Rural King do chickens? I don't have one here. Tractor Supply, etc. I wasn't able to show you how to get them from Tractor Supply yet. I am putting in immediate requests, so stay tuned for that. But the important thing that I can say is when you go to get them, make sure that the ones that you get are bright-eyed, alert, and more than willing to move. That's going to tell you that you've got one of the healthier chickens in the bunch. It's not a fault of any of the suppliers if the chickens are a little lethargic. It is very common to have failure to thrive at a certain percentage. Now, when they give them to you in the store, you're most likely going to get one with some shavings. They might put a paper towel under here as well. But even with the shavings and the paper towel in there, your chicks may not be able to stay very steady during the ride if you're jostling them around. So you have to make sure to keep them real safe on the trip home. Next, let's look at the brooder you should have set up before you bring your chicks home. So if you'll notice here, I have a space that's about 2.5 feet wide, and it's probably 4 feet long to this wall here. It can be 6 feet long if I come out to here. I'm not likely to use most of this area. The most important things about your brooder is going to be have yourself food and water. Watch very carefully that your chicks aren't drowning in the water container. If you have to, you can actually put marbles or rocks in there to keep them from drowning. Another thing that's very important is the heating apparatus. You will see a lot of people use a heating lamp. It looks like a light you would use for a lizard. In my case, since I can't always be home to watch the brooder, I use a brooder plate, and if you'll see, I have it on an angle. So I put the middle feet on one side and the other feet on the bottom side. So the whole thing to do with this is you want these chicks, be them turkeys or chickens, to be somewhere between 95 and 98 degrees the first day. And then you'll do that for about a week. I will move this brooder plate up, one on that side, one on this side every week until it's as tall as it can be. Once the chickens, or in this case the turkeys, don't start staying under it so much during the day, I'll flip it up into the heater mode because they don't need to be under it and they can just choose to be next to it, because these guys, especially the turkeys, they're going to get fairly large fairly quickly and it's not going to be the same. Now if you'll notice, my turkeys are very sleepy. They did just come home. I also haven't got much done with them yet, but if you'll notice, this one's eye opens. That one over there, its eye opens. That one's eye opens. So even though they're all sleeping, none of them are sick yet, or at least do not look sick, because they all open their eyes. That is a good sign. So I'm going to go ahead and do the next most important thing to do once you get them home to the brooder. They were a little cold on the ride home, so I've given them some time to lay under the brooder, probably 15-20 minutes. Now I'm going to introduce them all to water so that they know where the water is. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to teach them all where the water is really quickly. And they should already know because they've been, you know, it's like a Friday or a Saturday. They've been at the supply store for quite a few days. They're already on discount. I'm just going to go ahead, I'm going to take them real gentle. I'll move the water bowl to the front for them. So you're going to be real gentle with these guys, right? See? It's got wide alert eyes and it's ready to go. So you go. And that's all you do. You just give them a little dip and they drink. Also, some people like to go ahead and give their chickens or chicks the electrolytes from Save a Chick so that they'll have better energy after being brought home. It may also help with things such as pasty butt and just keeping your new chicks healthy. So now they've all been introduced to the water and I'm going to observe them for a little bit. see if they find their way back to their brooder. They're already starting to use the bathroom and stuff, so that's good. So they're all walking around and stuff, which is a really good sign. We got 2 of them laying over there. This one's getting some water all on its own. They're really cute. So if you'll notice, we have done paper towels, not shavings. Now this is from personal experience. I know that even if I put shavings down the first week or 2, I need to put paper towels under it to help them walk properly. That way they don't get splay leg or anything. If you need to use towels or washcloths, those will work too. But like, this is a very slippery surface. And if they are allowed to run around on a slippery surface, they may get what is called splay leg, spraddle leg, where they've done a split too far and they can't stand up. As you can see now, they're awake. These guys look perfectly healthy. And you may notice that they're in a unique space. This is not a brooder on the floor in my garage, but it is going to be a short time brooder for them. So what I do to keep them in for the first week or 2, I will just put a couple boxes like so, and now the chickens have nowhere to go. My understanding is that people who have more chickens, you need at least 10 foot by 10 foot for 12 brand new baby turkeys. So that's a good figure for them. You need at least 10 foot by 10 foot. The bigger they get, the bigger they will need for a brooder. Now, there is a difference between these turkeys and my chickens, and let's talk about it. So a big difference between your standard chickens and your turkeys, if you already have chickens, and if you don't know the difference, if you want to get them together, these turkeys are not heritage breeds, the ones that I have. They're those wide-breasted, whitish looking turkeys. They need a high protein diet. I believe it's 25 to 29% or something. This chick starter that I got to get some chickens is not going to be effective. You need to add, if you're going to do this, you need to add baker's yeast, about 2 cups to 10 pounds. So I need about a cup in here. I'm going to get that mixed up later today. But you need to make sure, especially during their first weeks, it's very important to get the nutrition right, because this is going to affect them for the rest of their lives, what happens to them over the next week or 2. So I'd like to thank all of you for coming out here today and seeing the first day in the brooder after you're brought home. And like I said, a lot of this can be extrapolated to chickens. It's very similar. They're all poultry, but there is a nutritional difference needed for the turkeys, and they have a much more sensitive respiratory system. Do not use cedar shavings when you put shavings in here. You can do shavings the first day, they're more likely to eat them and get impacted crops and tummies. It's better probably to do the paper towels or towels and washcloths if you can at first. And if you need to keep them under your shavings for a couple days to keep them from getting splay leg, that's a good practice too. So if you do that, you keep them properly set up with temperature where they can get away from the heat. They need to be able to get away from and to the heat. You need to keep an eye on them, make sure they're getting to the heat. If they're walking around and shaking, maybe you need to show them where the heat is again. And keep an eye on them. But I appreciate you coming out. Y'all have a good day.